These are old and busted, and these are the new hotness. These are the MK8 European taillights, and we're gonna show you how to put them on your car by watching you put them on our car, but like before this. US models have less wires for the taillights. That's because the Struggle Edition have less signals. That's why we've made a variety of harnesses to make that possible, like the Mark 7 harness, the Mark 7.5 harness, and the Mark 7.5 to 7.5 harness. Now, all of these harnesses require coating with an OBD11. On the Mark 8 models, they seem to have changed the modules to prevent the coating changes needed to make the lights function the way we used to. I actually think they locked down the modules the way they did to prevent us from doing exactly what we're about to do, because they don't like us doing what we did or what we're doing right now. So because I couldn't do any coating, I had to get creative to make these work easily. But what that also means is that you can't have rear fog lights. I know that 50% of you watching are sad right now, and of that 50%, only 10% have ever used a rear fog at all. And of that 10%, 90% have only used it one time to show their neighbor what a rear fog light was. I guess what I'm saying is, I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. On the bright side, you just plug in these harnesses and it just works. Here's the old and busted stock taillights on the car. Now here's the new hotness, European dynamic LED taillights. If you need to purchase a set of these taillights or harnesses, we will link to them in the description where you can buy them. If you need any other Volkswagen Audi parts, you should buy them at shop.app.com. Also, the rest of this video is going to be a DIY on these harnesses. It's going to be long. Hopefully it's going to be semi-interesting, but we will show you how to install harnesses, so buckle up. So you probably noticed that I've changed my shirt. Well, today is a completely different day, and we put out this video, then took it down. And that is because of this harness right here. Originally, when I developed the harness for this car, I checked everything to make sure it was functioning properly, and it did, but I missed one thing. You can see when I push on the brake like this, then turn on the turn signal, the brake light goes out even though I still have my foot on the brakes. When I originally shared to the MK8 Facebook group why I took this video down, there was a large swath of people who thought it was okay for the brake lights to turn off when you turn on your turn signal, which frankly is unbelievable to me, because I don't think that's a good idea, and I'm not really happy with that as a safety concern. Okay, so you might be asking, Paul, do other harnesses that are out there on the market solve the same problem that yours solves? And the question is a good question, but I have no idea, because I don't pay attention to other people's products. I only make the best thing I can make and make sure ours doesn't do that. So to answer your question, I have no idea. Here's the European outer taillight. We can compare it to our North American ones, and you can see one of these things is not like the other. So the turn signal is right here. It runs through the center, and it would run from the inner into through here. And then obviously it has an aesthetic on the outside, it's a little different. It also says right here, if you see, it says IQ light. What that means is if you buy these IQ lights, it's a 200 IQ move from us, shopapp.com. Starting with the trunk, we're gonna take off a T20 Torx. There's gonna be two of them. One is located right here, and the other right here. We have these covers here and the cover here. And that's all that holds this thing in. So now we just gotta do some yanking. This is gonna feel pretty weird, but you're gonna put one hand up here, one hand down here, yank it like that. Nathan was just nervous that I broke that because of my powerful yank, but he doesn't know I've been yanking my whole life. We're gonna pop this off and get behind here. Same deal, yank. You can see these are the clips that pretty much hold all this stuff in. They just pop into the body of the car. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that one. Side trim here, we're pushing this way. So 1, 2, 3, go. I'm just gonna about to fall on my head. There we go. Go. And we're down. Now you see why they have covers on cars, because this is what they would look like without covers. Wires everywhere. And you can see right here, we lost one of our clips that got left in the body of the car. So you're gonna wanna pull these out with a pair of pliers and put them back into that trim panel. Take off this connector, we're gonna grab this tab and slide it down like that. Then push it and pull. Same thing over here, tab, pull. Now we're gonna take the tail light out here. This is the inner, this is an 8mm ESPN 8 and this can just pop out real easy. Just push it up like that and it kind of rotates up and around. Same thing here. Now we're going to show you removing this trim panel, and this is the one that we just took off, and you can see on the back side here there are clips here and then some over here that actually hold this in place. It also uses this top edge right here to seal against this taillight, or not seal, but to kind of snap into the taillight. So they're kind of a pain to get off, and I'll be honest with you, it's a little bit of a challenge. You got to finagle it out, so we're going to show you on the other side. Popping it from the bottom here, and if we can get that out. And what we're doing is kind of getting it away from this groove that it's in right here. So I'm kind of working it out. And once we do, we should be able to get it out and up like that. All right, we got these Torx here. There's just two of them holding it in. Now this taillight is loose over here on this side. There's nothing else bolting it in, but it's kind of hooked in under here, and then it has rubber grommets like Mark 7's did in the body here, so you gotta slide it backwards. So that is easier said than done. On a car that's new, the first time I took these taillights out, because they've been out a bunch, it was pretty difficult. And so what you do is grab it, and so I'm kind of wiggling up and down like this while I'm doing it to try to get it away from this edge here. There you go. See how hard that was, even though the taillight's been out a lot? Pretty hard. Push down the tab right here, and then you can just slide this out like so. So what it's actually hooked into, there's this right here and this right here, and they hook into here and here. So this sits down into this and then slides backwards. So you can see it's just like that. And then take out your other taillight, just like you did that one. This is the adapter for the outer taillight. You plug it in here, and then it runs through this grommet here, and we run it up to the inner taillight. The sad news about this is it means you have to get through this grommet and then also reseal it to make it possible to get it inside the car, which kind of stinks. If you do this in a reckless way, you could end up with a water leak in your trunk. It'll then be a submarine. You'll be Aquaman. This is a C-pillar, as in see you next Tuesday. Let's just pull it out. Okay, I'm doing it like this just so you can see it, because otherwise Nathan can't see anything I'm doing. So, that, like that, and it pops out like so. Now there's also a clip back here. There it is, that's the one. It's very hard to get. And so what I did is I reached my hand in here. This one, because you're pulling very far away, you can actually kind of crack this here. I just felt like it was possible and probably going to happen. So what I did is I stuck my hand in there and kind of grabbed around this thing, grabbed it like this, and I kind of pushed back with my hand like that. I am going to remove this all the way for the sake of the video, but this would probably be the stopping point where you don't have to take this out the rest of the way. There's one more clip way back here that I'm going to do that same thing with. One of the reasons I'd recommend not trying to remove this is because this portion is clipped into this portion around the trim of the seatbelt, which makes it more challenging to remove. So I would just loosen this and not remove it completely. Same thing on this side. We're just gonna pop it out. This right here is a clip that holds it in. As you can see, because I've taken this apart a million times, it's cracked. It's like a push pin that kind of pops it in place. So you have to pry this portion away, and then pop goes the weasel. What you're doing is popping this portion up and out, and it allows this to collapse and pull out of that hole. Okay, now I'm gonna just pop this thing away. And that we're not gonna remove completely, we're just gonna pop it out like so to give us the space we need to work. Same thing on this side, remove that clip. Now we're gonna pop this side out. Well, we lost one of those clips. That's a problem. When you hear that kind of clink and then ching, 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 that means the clip came out of the trim and fell down. You might consider purchasing a new one instead of trying to find it, but that's up to you. A magnet would be helpful in this circumstance if you don't want to purchase a new one and you want to reinstall it. Now, we can see inside of our hole. Last thing we're going to do is remove these boots from the car. Now, these are the same as the Mark 7 ones, so if you had a Mark 7 and you took them out, you know these things suck. I've already broken one of them, so because I've had this apart a bunch of times, and so I'll probably have to show you how to replace it very shortly because I broke one. And it's really easy to remove like that when it's broken. So it has a hook piece that hooks in there and then a tab that you would push from this side. What you can try to do is take a pick like this and kind of rotate it in there. The piece that you'd be pushing on is in the middle here, would be in the middle here, it's broken on this one. What you can do is try to get your pick inside right here like this and rotate it down to try to push on that tab and then allow this to pop up as it goes past. To get to this one, and even this one, I think that this trick seems to be the best, is you can take the headliner out. Now, on Mark 7s, there was a trim panel you would pop down, but unfortunately, the headliner goes all the way to the back. So you have to kind of pull it down a little bit away from the seal and pull it down around like that. Then you can get your hands in there. Now keep in mind, you push down on this headliner, you're gonna crease it and it's gonna look terrible. So you have to be super careful with what you're doing here, because if you crease this headliner, you're gonna be a real sad camper. What I'm gonna do is try to get this in there, pop this clip. So I'm kind of rotating in, getting over here, and then I'm gonna pop it like that. Okay. This, we're gonna remove for a little more access to that other trim. So pop these tabs and pull this whole assembly back like so. And these top ones come out the same way as the bottom ones, where you pry in. The difference is the tabs on the outside edge here. So same deal this side and same deal on this side. Outside edge, get in there and try to pop it. Just like that. And it broke. Now if you break these and you don't replace them and you end up with water leaking into the back of your car, back here, that there is a possibility that you could have a sealing issue if you break them and then leave them. We'll link to new ones in the description in case you need them. Here we have laid out all 4 taillights with the harnesses associated with it. I'm gonna be showing you this as an example to try to give you an idea of what you gotta do. So, start on the outside. We have this adapter that has an orange wire that will run up into your C-pillar. We'll get to that in a second. You also have a yellow wire that runs all the way to the inside to the inner taillight. Then on our inner taillight, we have 2 wires that run all the way back to the outside of the car to the outer taillight. Then on our inner taillights, we have an additional 1 wire that's a white one on each one, and they run over here to the passenger side C-pillar area right here. They'll plug into this 2-pin connector, which plugs into there, which plugs into your 12-volt outlet. So you get that power. Then on the opposite side, it's a mirror image of the other side. We have this connector. Remember, we have the blue one that goes on the driver's side. It has 2 wires that go out to the driver's side over here. Then we have the yellow wire that comes back around to the inner right here. And the orange wire that I mentioned earlier, this is gonna run up into your C-pillar area. 1-pin to 1-pin connector, that's gonna plug in right there. This is where the orange wires come from. This goes to your 3rd brake light connector in your deck lid. They're gonna run out to the outers and then plug in at the C-pillar with these 1-pin connectors. Piece of cake, right? As you can see, this is not hard, complicated, or confusing at all. That's what I had to do to make these f***ing lights work properly on this f***ing bullshit. I'll show you more details. If you're trying to buy these and then plug them in, European lights, US plug, doesn't work. Now, for our outer taillight harness, this is the adapter you plug into the car side, this is the taillight side, and then we have these wires to run. You have a short orange one, and then we have this one that's yellow. We have to feed these wires through this grommet right here. We're now ready to take this grommet off. All we're gonna do is start by prying it out. So you can kind of stick your finger in there and pull back like that. and it just kind of tension fits in with this lip behind there. Now, I was able to grab this edge off the tape here. Now you can grab a razor blade or you can pull this tape back. Up to you which one you go with. You're probably gonna wanna retape it. When I say probably, you should retape it regardless. This is where things are gonna go through. There is a big bulb of RTV that's right here. And so what you do is kind of roll that back and then slide this whole grommet backwards like this. And you can roll that up just like you would roll up something that you might put on something. I don't know what you would roll that up like. We're gonna stick the screwdriver in here, just like this. And we're gonna get that through the other side, like so. Now, what I seem to have been the best thing to do is kind of squish it all together to give it as little distance for the wire to travel as possible. We're gonna take our yellow wire. I'm gonna grab both sides of this screwdriver and I'm gonna kind of pry back on this to allow an opening to happen. And if you look, it went through the other side just like that. So you're gonna pull that wire through and you're gonna kind of need to keep pulling tension on this thing. Now I just ran this wire through this grommet. We have 2 more we have to run out to here. Here's the deal though. If you don't want to do that because it's a pain or you're struggling to do it, you can punch a hole in this to try to just run the wires that way. It's not my preference because the likelihood of water intrusion goes up exponentially. Running it this way is the right way to do it. It is also the harder way to do it. Do you want it hard or do you want it wet? That's what you have to decide. Here's our inner taillight, and you can see here there's a blue housing here, and you can see here this is not blue. Because I'm dumb, when the prototype was made, I have a green connector there instead of a blue one. The production version will be blue, so it'll plug right in. Just pretend that this is a blue connector, and this would be plugging into a blue piece. Cue Blue Man Group. Cue I'm Blue by Eiffel 65. I'm blue. All right, that's all I got. And it just plugs in just like that. Now, all of these wires have to go down through this boot here. These go to the outer taillight. This one, the white one, goes along here to the C-pillar. And we're just gonna pop these into our little clips here, follow our wiring along. Now along the way, you're gonna wanna run some zip ties to help keep everything fancy. If your antenna stops working, that's why. So if you're listening to AM radio with Rush Limbaugh and it stops working, that's because you broke that. I'm actually gonna go in right here. I'm going right there so we don't interfere with that hole. I'm missing one though. I'm currently struggling to find the end of the one that I don't got. Oh yeah. Now we gotta put these through here.
Oh, great.
Yep. Right, here we go. Going in with this, I was criticized in a previous video about calling this a snake and not a fish tape. I don't know what the right word is, but I've always called this a snake.
I swear the snake is snake.
Now, take your wires and attach them to your snake. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tape these inside of here. Now this is real critical. If you go to pull this through and these are taped here and they get caught on anything in this boot, it will bend them back and snap off. So don't do that. And so what I do is kind of tape them as a ramp, and I'm using the snake to help too, but to prevent them from being snagged. So if you are going through here and you get hung up, just back that train up. Don't just yank. If you get nervous and you feel like you're stuck, just come back through. Don't just yank. So as you can see, we're through now. Now what will happen is if you snap one of these off, it's gonna break off and you're gonna have nothing to attach here. So that will leave you with 2 options. You'll either have to take the harness back out and try to send it back for us to try to repair it for you, or you'll have to buy a repair wire from Volkswagen and crimp it on the end. Either option are both not good options. White wire goes to the C-pillar over here. So we're gonna go down through the headliner right here and then over. We're gonna go down through the headliner and then this way. 1, 2, 3, break. Okay, stick that down. I'm gonna stick that down, then I'm just gonna grab it with my 2 pointer fingers like that. See those skills? And then pull it through. And then what you can do in these situations, this is a real neat trick, is you just go like this. My neat trick is like, I'm not really as skilled as I once was. So now we're leaving that one there for now, and we'll deal with that later. Same deal with this one. I'm gonna drop it down, put my fingers in there, grab those 2 terminals. Again, being cautious of A, the terminal ends so you don't damage them, and B, the headliner so you don't grease it. Now this is our additional adapter we had to add after this video was already shot. First thing to do is just pop this tab up right here with a screwdriver or pick, and then pop this connector out like so. We're gonna plug that into our third brake light right here, which plugs in just like so. Boop, like that. 1, then 2. Okay, now we have these 2 orange wires. We're gonna run them through these boots just like we did with the other ones, and they're gonna run right to here. They're gonna run down, snaked in, and then they run right to our C-pillars on the outside here and here. And we're gonna run this orange wire up through the hole right to our C-pillar right here. You're then gonna join it to the other orange wire that comes from your outer tail light on the outside here. And that looks like this. Take this end, and we're gonna slide that in just like this, and then we're gonna hear that click, like that. Now we have our other wire that we came from the orange one from the outer tail light, and we're gonna take this and slide it in just like this, and click. Then we're gonna plug them in, just like that, and then button all this up. Now you're gonna do the same thing with these orange wires, both up and down, on the opposite side as well. So we have a light on the hole over here, and when you look down towards the tail light, you can actually see there's a hole in the body that actually this has to go through. Now, we're gonna try to get a shot of that. These wires need to go down. We also need to get the yellow wire up. This is very difficult to see, and so what we're gonna do is put this snake in the hole. And the light there really makes it easy to actually do. And so it doesn't, the hole, it's kind of a double hole. So there's a hole here, but there's also a hole inside the car. So there's 2 holes, as you can see, just like that. So just to show you it's possible, it's not super easy, but it is possible. There you go. We're pulling the yellow wire up. I should have attached the other 2 wires when I came down, but I was so focused on getting the shot that I didn't. So now I have to do that twice. Good for me.
You're just a pro, though.
I am pretty good at this now. I struggled a bunch. So I just pulled this out by mistake when I was messing with something else. But just to show you, I actually was able to fish this through with my hand. As you can see with my fingers right here. Most people are probably not going to be able to do that. So just as an FYI, it hurts a little. Yeah, that's the thing you can do. We got our yellow wire coming from the outer taillight. These gloves are really something else. I've really done a number on them. All right, so we're gonna fish this up through here. Same deal, pulling this up, and I'm gonna kind of feed it or hook it around the edge of that headliner and feed it in a little. And I'm gonna try to just feed it in like that and grab it with my fingers and pull it up. So, the glove is a problem.
You might as well not be wearing gloves.
Well, fingerless gloves. This is like, this is how I know I'm a teenage dirtbag baby. At this point, we're gonna now run this back through here. But we're not gonna show it to you because you already did that. You can do it yourself. So I took our yellow wire and we ran it up through the boot, and after that we came up through here, down, across, and then up here. but I inserted it into the wrong pin. So if you do so, if you're a Dumbo like me, you're gonna need this special tool, or potentially you can try to use some paper clips or stuff like that. So you go with your thing unlatched, put that in, and you can release your wire. There we go, like that. But without this tool, if you put this in the wrong place, you're gonna have a bad day. Pay attention. We do sell those tools on shopdapp.com, which we'll have linked in the description where you can purchase one. If you just did what I did. You're gonna be upset if you did though. Right here at our green connector, our green-blue connector, blue, actually blue, don't pay attention to that, our blue connector. Before you insert any wires into this connector, you have to pop this clip open. So you just take a pick or a screwdriver or something like that, and then pop this up, just like that. And you're gonna make sure that you can just get it, so make sure it's clear. Yellow wire, pin 8, which is the last one, we're gonna take it, slide it in, and then click, just like that. Should tug on it, make sure it doesn't pull out, and then push that in, click, we're ready, we're done. These two wires, they need to go out to this outer connector. So we have to run it through this boot, however you got through. We're gonna be using the same method that we went in with the yellow wire to pull this through. You're not gonna be able to see much because we'll be blocking it, but same method. I'm gonna kind of peel that back and try to pop these through. What I found, a trick that seems to work, is I put some tape around these two wires, made kind of a point, and that helped me push them through this boot. It was rolled up. I had the screwdriver through it. I kind of pulled it through. Once I got able to get a hold of it, I was able to kind of slide the boot back around it. Again, you want to move away from this fat area towards a skinnier area to work with as much space as possible. We're about to put these two wires into this brown connector. First, you have to take this purple locking tab out. So you're going to bring that inside here, and you're going to pry it out. Just like that. Until you do that, you will not be able to insert those. Now we're going to go white wire pin 1. So you can see here, white wire, pin 1 with wire seals is they will hang everything up. So they make getting these things in much harder. Wire seals are real important for making sure that you don't get water into your connectors. So we've inserted our white wire in pin 1 and our green wire over in pin 7, and then we're gonna get our locking tab in. And once we're ready to go into the locking tab, you just slide it in place, and then you can use like a screwdriver or something like that, kind of pop it down like that. We're gonna install this grommet, and to do so, we're just gonna kind of rock that in like that, and you gotta work it around. This can be a little bit of a challenge, but no big deal. You can see at the bottom, it's kind of stuck in too far, so what you can do is take the edge and kind of pull it up like that. Now we're gonna take this passenger side harness, plug it in. This is the one that actually has a green connector, and we're gonna get this run down and to the outer taillight and to the C-pillar, just like the other one. Now we're gonna take this yellow wire, just like we did with the other one, run this up to the inner. All right, now we got our yellow wire from down the bottom, same deal, pin 8. Make sure this is released, click, click, done. Same deal, pinch that guy, ran it through there. We're gonna put these in this one just like we did the other one, and same pins as the other side, white pin 1, green pin 7. We've now finished our wiring and buttoned up everything, zip tied it, cleaned it all up. We have these wires left, just the 2 white wires left. We're gonna be looking right here in the trunk. And what we're gonna be looking at is this 12-volt outlet right here. When we peel back this trim, you can see right back here is the back side of that 12-volt outlet, and we're gonna be disconnecting this white connector back here. Now this is our 12-volt connector. This is our adapter. All we're gonna do is plug it in like so. Then we're gonna take this end and plug it into the 12-volt outlet down there. But first, we're gonna take this 2-pin connector right here, slide the lock out. We now have these white terminals. These are the right terminals. Before we had the wrong terminals because they f***ed up our prototype. So I'm gonna insert them in this connector.
Which way do you put them balls?
It doesn't matter. You can put them in any hole you want. That's how it goes. I made it that way on purpose. You pick whatever hole you like. Then we don't forget our lock. Don't forget your lock, boys and girls. So take those wires, you just plug it in there, plug it into the harness that is a pigtail off of the one you went to the 12-volt connector. Click, just like that. Then, last thing we need to do, take this 12-volt plug it back in that 12-volt outlet. And so we're going to plug it in. Just like that. And we're going to install our lights. Super easy. Just plug it in. Make sure your wiring is out of the way. And then just kind of apply some pressure to get it popped in there. We're ready to put our bolts in. And to install our taillight, we're going to kind of hook it around. So kind of get it in there. And then go underneath. Drop it in place. That stud kind of hangs up a little bit. And we just installed this taillight. Get that one done, and we're going to do our outer over here. And we're good. And that's our pretend blue connector. Actually green connector. Now, once you get to this point, before you reassemble anything else, you want to test your lights to make sure everything functions. This is the time that if a mistake was made, a wire was messed up, anything along the way got messed up, you want to find out now while it's apart. So we're going to do that. And when you're checking your taillights, you're going to want to make sure they perform every function, turn signal, brakes, etc. Lights on, left turn signal, brake lights, reverse lights, all works. All of our clips, you can see all these guys here. You gotta make sure they're all in their homes where they belong. Then the next steps are getting them in the right place. Now the biggest challenge is gonna be the one way back here. Now you can see we got our extra wiring there, but if you look right there, this guy down here, you're gonna have to kind of feed into its home. Now I can't really show you because I have to do it kind of while I'm pushing back here. Make sure you have nothing obstructing anything, and then you're gonna get it lined up. Now in that particular one, you can actually use your hand from underneath to kind of pull it down and get it where it needs to be. Once you get it where it needs to be, then you can pop it in place. Like that. Now you can see these are kind of sitting down already. This isn't popped in place yet, but this is the best way to go about getting this seal back over, and then get all that in place. Next thing you want to do in this circumstance, look through, make sure your wiring is all loose and it's not pinched in anything. If it is, you could end up damaging it, and then you could have a problem with your lights not working properly. And we're going to cut all our zip ties. Make sure your stuff looks as gorgeous as mine. Look at that gorgeousness. Looks like it was like this from the factory. Just popped in that clip. You can see the button's still out, so you just gotta pop it in to get that kind of snugged up. C-pillar trim is going on. Make sure your clips are all in a good spot and they're all present. This one, you have to make sure you hook this underneath the trim by the seatbelt, and then you can get it kind of lined up. I like to kind of wiggle them in place and kind of do a little peek. Make sure you look. And if you don't feel a hole there, don't just smash it. You kind of, there you go. So you can see it was kind of sticking this way, so I stuck my hand in and pushed it while I was getting it in. Now it's in place. Here we go. Trim pieces on the trunk in order. Trunk piece, side pieces, bottom piece. Let's do it. Okay, this trim piece is going to go on the side here. It hooks in right to the backside here with these. So you have to kind of get it into those hook holes, around up, make sure that this is in here like that, and then you can kind of rotate it in. Now, if you look on the back side here, you can see our wiring is sticking out a little bit. Now, if you pinch this, our zip tie is also right there. So if you pinch any of this wiring in here, you could damage it. So make sure before you start smashing, don't Hulk smash your wiring you just installed. All right, so rotate this in. There we go. Here's the trick, because it's kind of a pain. Swing it in, then rotate it. Get it seated in place, get the top in. Struggle, succeed, win.